Ever wonder what it takes to live a life creatively? So do we. That's why we're here, to find out what clever people do to succeed in the arts, business, and education. I'm Cecily Korst, and this is the Trailer Talks. We're interviewing artists and educators, musicians, and thought leaders, at home and on the road. So come on, it's going to be a good trip. Hey, welcome to the trailer. Come on in. Today, we're in the trailer with Exavier Pope, an entertainment and sports attorney living in Chicago, and we're talking about his creative life. Describe your journey to this point.
It's been a long journey to this point, Cecily. I was born as a foster kid. I was the twin boy of a woman that was incarcerated when I was born. Uh, my mom was a prostitute. My father was a pimp. Actually, we were born in a whorehouse. Essentially, I was in with with prostitutes and guns. Essentially, laying next to me, I have pictures of physically that in a home. Obviously, that is not the proper environment. If you're incarcerated, you can't raise a kid in prison. So um, my sister, brother, and I wound up living with a foster mother, and so we were there, during the time my mother's incarceration and also her rehabilitation. About the time I was 7 years old, we actually we were in her home, and eventually there was some mental, physical, sexual abuse, not necessarily by her, physical abuse, obviously, but um, eventually we had to leave that home. My mother and I reconciled when I was about 22-ish in college. She turned her life around. She became a nurse, and now she does humanitarian work in Africa. My foster mom was this beautiful older lady. Her name was Emma Lily Mitchell, and she was a fantastic woman that raised me. She taught me how to value education. She taught me that I was special. I was going to be someone really great, and she also taught me, Cecily, really about God and how to develop a relationship of faith. And through her, I learned as much as I could possibly learn until she passed away when I was 14 years old, and I was on my own. And there were times my teachers didn't even know this, but I would go sleep on a park bench. Sometimes I would stay at a friend's house, a girl's house in high school. So school was my escape from the poverty that I was born in. And there was a period of time when I was 19 years old, Cecily, where I almost was in a position to sell drugs. Put it in my hand. I went to a corner, and then I had one of these epiphanies in my life. Is I can't do this. My foster mom taught me how special I was. I couldn't go through this path. And so it wasn't until I was in law school, my last year, Cecily, that Victoria Rao, who's a famous actress, she was a former foster youth, and I wrote to her my last year of law school, and I asked her for a scholarship, and I told her about who I was, my background. She wanted to give me this scholarship. I was the only law student she had given a scholarship to. It was mostly for the arts, but I'm an entertainment sports lawyer. Mm-hmm. There was this fundraiser that she has every year, where it's at Beverly Hills Hilton, and she has all these A-list celebrities and politicians and really important people in this room. These people are coming up to me and saying, "Exavier, you're such an inspiration." Me? I'm an inspiration? You're this A-list celebrity person. How am I an inspiration to you? And it was through that whole entire time, I never told anybody my background. It was something I always hid. And Cecily, it was from that moment I decided that part of my life's journey was that I had to use my background to become an inspiration. And that's what started the second part of my life, was making sure that people understood my background so that I would be able to give that background power to help inspire people and change people's lives. Everything in our life, things are going to happen to us. But when your life is unexpected trials of life, tragedies happen. How do we face and get up the next day? How do we say everything is going to be okay? How do we encourage ourselves? The best way to do that is to look and what we can learn from a situation. How can we make a bad situation good, a good situation great, and great to be transcendent? But it really wasn't until I was honest with who I was and where I'd come from that it really became a true elevation. So that's how Exavier Pope reached this point.
Who are you concentrating your efforts on right now?
the people that I reach out to everyone that I can touch. And the more influence that I have, one of the main reasons I know that I'm supposed to be on a really great platform is because I believe that I'm supposed to reach at least 10 million people. And so that's my goal, is to have people, at least 10 million people know exactly who I am. Because when I reach 10 million people that know exactly who I am, that means that my story, the gift that's been instilled in me, can touch and change the lives of 10 million people. And if those 10 million people can change the lives of another 10 million people, and so on and so forth, we can pretty much impact the world.
The way you go about being an attorney seems very, very creative to me.
It is.
Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
I think I'm a creative person. And I think that when it comes to whatever it is that you do in life, um, I think that you have to acknowledge what your personal strengths are or your passions, and then bring that to whatever it is that you're doing. And that is what drove me to law school, actually, is that I wanted to be a part of something that I was passionate about. And the arts and sports are things that I'm very passionate about. So it's interesting as you go along a journey in life, you learn more about yourself. And if you're true to yourself, your life's path and how it relates to your career, and actually how you make money and how you monetize whatever it is that that thing is for you,
Mm-hmm.
becomes a truer experience of an expression of who you are. And so because I'm artistic at heart, and because I that's who I am, that's what I'm surrounded by, I think that that contributes greatly to how I approach the artistic side in what I do. I realized also a few years ago that I was not supposed to represent the talent. I was supposed to be the talent. And so recognizing that it was more than just me negotiating a contract, recognizing that giving people advice was not the only way that I can make an impact, was truly standing on a stage, seeing people's faces change as I tell my story, or not even just my story, just getting into a room and start inspiring people based on who I am. I think that that's where the artistic aspect comes into play, Cecily.
What was last year's pinch me moment for you?
I went to a, a manpower conference. TD Jakes is an awesome man, and I admire him and what he does. Something told me he would lay hands on me. I felt it before I went, and the conference was over. But that didn't happen. But the next day we went to his church. He announced me as one of the special guests in the audiences. In the audience, I just felt something strange about that particular day. And he gets to the end, and it was like he knew he was supposed to, and I knew he was supposed to. He looked at me and he says, "Something is. I've been trying to avoid this, but I'm not anymore. Something told me to lay my hands on you." And he says, "You're about to do something. And different things in life. I know your story. I don't know all your story, but you've had different piles of blessings here and there. But it's going to get bigger, and you're about to do something, and everything that you've gone through in different parts of your life, it's going to all come together and make sense like a quilt." And he put his hand on me. I dropped like a stone, and I wasn't in a situation where, "Hey, get down," and push me. I really, because it was really a culmination of my belief that I'm supposed to do something really special in my life, and I've been doing really awesome things. There's so many great things to come, and so that pinch me moment came then, because it was a culmination of everything that I've been doing in my life, and and realizing that I have so much more work to do and so many people to inspire, that it was okay. It was a confirmation.
What is success for you in the future?
I'm successful right now, because I am on my path, and I think that is success for me in the future, is embracing my path and knowing that that is true. And I think that as it relates to my career, as it relates to my family, as it relates to my life, if you embrace and say, okay, I was created for a particular purpose, and I'm searching for it, and I'll find more about myself along that path as I go, that's success.
What would you advise young people to do who are in a situation that you were in as a child?
One piece of advice I would give to young people that may be in a situation that I'm in is to have delayed gratification. But in light of that, in order to have delayed gratification, you need to have a purpose. And that purpose needs to be that it's bigger than the situation that you're in. And once you have a purpose that is beyond you, that requires you stepping outside of your comfort zone, and really this goes for every single person. Once you have and embrace something that's completely beyond your scope of imagination or your abilities, that means you have to go outside of that to get it. And once you go outside of that, guess what? You grow. And life is really about growth and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So once you step out, I'm getting excited talking about it. Once you step outside of your, because most people live in a box, because that box a lot of times is determined by your social economic status, or it can be determined by your upbringing. And once you decide to say, this isn't the box that I want. I want to be outside of that. And not necessarily you're trading one box for a bigger box. You're just trading for outside of that box. And once you do that, then you can have the delayed gratification to know I can get to this point. And I think that once you have that purpose to say I want to get outside of that, then you have growth. And that is what I challenge young people to do.
What's your advice to anybody growing up who wants to live life creatively?
First, embrace your individuality. And second, learn your craft. The rest, sky's the limit for that. And never give up. Everybody at some point or another wants to give up. And guess what? Even if you give up, just because you give up doesn't mean that's the end of the line. And so, knowing that if you've given up on something, a dream, an aspiration, or you've taken advice from someone and it doesn't seem to be a decision that you wanted to have taken, that you really wish you had that back as a mulligan, go ahead and take that mulligan and get back into the game and become who it is that you desire and want to be.
I'll let you have the last word if you feel like you've forgotten anything, or if you just have a message that you want to deliver that's completely off anything we've talked about.
Life comes down to decisions. And you either decide to become great and continue to decide to be great along that path, or you decide to be ordinary. And really, deciding to be ordinary is just a simple, just doing whatever it is that you're doing without anything taking place, just kind of living. And I think that life is meant to be lived. And so live your life, follow your path, enjoy your ambition. Never mind what naysayers and people say. Just do what it is that makes you truly happy and live that life. And then try to impact everybody that is around you. Because where I've come from and the obstacles I faced and the inspiration that comes with that, my goal is to take and bottle that up and say, here, take this. You may not have come where I've come from, but take this like a tonic and you'll become the best person that you're supposed to be. Because it doesn't matter about where you come from. It's about who you want to be and making you the best part of who you are. So
that was a peek inside of Exavier Pope's life and journey. You can find out more about Exavier on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and at his blog, Ex Post Facto, on chicagonow.com. While you're out surfing, check out our website at thetrailertalks.com. I'm Cecily Korst. Join us for the next road trip.